back to the show. Joining us now for the first time on the show is the new special teams coach for the California Golden Bears, Jeff Genick. And first of all, welcome to Cal, not so much the program, but welcome to Cal. And talk about the special teams and what your philosophy has been, because you've had great success over the years in this particular area. What are you trying to get accomplished this fall?
Well, first of all, I think it's about the players from a standpoint of really buying into the aspect of how important special teams are, from a hidden yardage standpoint, how they can really determine outcomes of games, and then most importantly, determining that the players themselves can understand how important they are from a want to versus a have to perspective.
And when you looked at the game tapes from last year, what were the areas that you hope to make the most improvement on coming into this season?
Well, I think really by and large our coverage units, not only punt coverage with a great punter like Bryan Anger, you know, our punt coverage was only about 50th in the nation, so we really want to improve on that. And then kickoff coverage, really finding a consistent kicker that can certainly put the ball in the spot that we want it so that the players can anticipate where that'll be.
You make a good point, because it's the spot. Everybody would love to have a kicker that kicks it through the uprights on kickoffs. Not very many people have those. So you're trying to help your coverage teams by basically telling them where they... What have you tried to do to accentuate that and improve in that area?
Well, I think it's just the aspect of executing on each play for a place kicker is really important. Not getting too caught up in the last kick or the next one. What are we doing just specifically with your plant foot, your follow through, items like that, so that the focus is not on the results but on just the execution.
And so far in camp, what have you seen as far as the return game? Who are going to be the key people returning the punts and returning the kicks?
Well, I think that, you know, obviously Jeremy Ross has done a nice job last year. I think E.C. Sofili's got a great opportunity to help us on kickoff return. But we have some young guys. We have some great weapons in Keenan Allen and Kalen Clay that as the season progresses, we want to give those kids some opportunity because they have great athleticism and amazing speed.
Well, you've already mentioned Bryan Anger, one of the premier punters in the country. Bryan, a couple of weeks ago, took a little time off and gave us the finer points of the punting game. Let's call it a Bear Ball 101. Joining us now is a junior punter, Bryan Anger, first team All Pac-10, has a career average of almost 43 yards a punt, one of the best punters in Cal history. First of all, just, you know, how did you get into the punting? Because I know at one point you did some kicking as well. Now you're just focused on the punting.
I played soccer for like 11 years when I was growing up, so I always had a soccer background. My brothers played soccer, and I got into kicking. My parents wanted me to be able to kick field goals and stuff when I was moving up to varsity. So right before my junior season, I met up with Chris.
It's Chris Saylor, former UCLA kicker.
Yeah, Chris Saylor and Nacho. Ignacio Brache played here. I met up with Chris and did kicking for the whole lesson. And I was okay, it wasn't that great. In the last 15 minutes of practice, he asked if anybody wanted to punt. And I always like punting a little better, so I went over there and punted for that 15 minutes, and he saw me turn some balls over, did a couple adjustments, and after that, after working with me for that 15 minutes, he said to stop kicking, stop doing anything else. He's like, your future is in punting.
And what I'd like to do is I'm going to just kind of pretend I'm snapping you the ball. Get in your stance as you're waiting, you know, Matt Rehos to snap, and he's excellent, and he's usually right on target. How are you standing and why?
My left foot is a little bit above the right foot, a little staggered. You can mix it up. Some people go right foot forward, but I go left foot forward.
Tell us what happens next, how you position the ball, where you put the seams, and so forth.
So wherever you catch it, ball kind of goes into a funnel to the hip. You want the ball on since I'm right-footed, you want it on your right hip. So right there, I go to mold. I hold the ball, my middle finger's on the seam, and then thumb is a little bit above the seam, and pinky's underneath for some support. First step, both hands on. Second step, hand comes off. Notice again right on the seam with that middle finger, and then just drop and kick after that. 85 to 90% of the kick is all in the drop. Depending on if you have a good drop, if you have a bad drop, then you have to make a ton of adjustments, and everything will be off from that point. If the nose is down, you can hit a little bit of a better spiral. Say windy conditions, you're going into the wind. Sometimes you want to drop the nose a little bit and get it lower. But foot sake, ball makes contact like right on this part, a little bit outside. So it just fits right in that groove of your foot when it's a good ball. Sometimes you slap the front of the ball
and you'll just get a little slap sound at the back of the ball. But when you get the meat of the ball, like foot right dead middle, yeah, you just don't feel anything. It's awesome.
It's a great feeling, yeah. Well, congratulations so far, Brian. You've done a great job, and continued success. Stay healthy as well.
Thank you very much.
All right, junior punter Brian Anger, one of the best in the nation. Well, you have to scratch your head a little bit in the preseason, some of these rankings that come out and so forth. Brian was not mentioned on the initial Ray Guy award list, which makes you wonder who's actually selecting that. But we'll worry about that at the end of the year. What is it about Brian that you've been so impressed with since you've been here?
Well, I think that my first meeting with Brian, here he is, the first team All Pac-10 punter, and I said, how was your year in 2009? He said, Coach, it was pretty inconsistent. I really need to improve. You know, sometimes I'd have a 70-yard punt followed up by a 30-yard punt, and really understanding that those 70-yard punts are great for the fans. There's a lot of oohs and ahs, but for the coverage unit, you don't want to out-punt your coverage. So being more consistent and hitting a 45, 50-yard punt with 4.5, 5-second hang is something that we've really worked on, just mentally, and the ability to, again, execute on those particular tasks and not try to hit the home run, if you will, every time you punt the football.
Well, the good news would be if he didn't have to punt at all. The bad news is that he might have to punt, but the good news in that is he's really good at it. So we expect a great year from him. And the special teams, Jeff, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Good luck this year. Jeff Genick, the special teams coach for the California Golden Bears. When we come back on the Cal Sports Report, we'll talk to Sandy Barber, the athletic director, and have plenty more straight ahead as the Cal Sports Report continues.